hello mate, hello there. Would you like to join me for a conversation? 2 plus 2 is 4. That's not 4, that's 8. For any children that get confused, that's 4, that's 8. 2 plus 2 is 4. Minus 1, that's 5. Quick maths. No, I know it's not 5. Anyway, I hope you're doing okay. I am probably not okay. But that's why I come here, so I can speak and maybe just leave like some type of like trail behind for whatever this existence might mean in the end. So confusing because the thoughts in my head are the things that are in control at the moment. And it's funny because like when people say that, you know, I heard Oprah actually said it because she listens to Eckhart Tolle, and Eckhart Tolle talks about the whole space in the mind where you observe the thoughts and that's who you are. But for me, yeah, when I observe the thoughts, yeah, that place there is not big enough in terms of like the idea that I have of the soul. Sorry. I think the problem that I'm having with life here is that I have this massive picture of how big and amazing it is, right? It's just a massive thing, right? And actually I had this experience all the time where I feel my energy and then like I'm closing my eyes and I feel myself and I can't fit into my room, or I can't fit into this like space, and it feels like I'm just overtaking the space. And it always felt like this like capital B, but like, you know, like a 4D B, like the letter B, but it's like 4D and it's massive and it's just like overtaking the space and it just can't fit. And I always felt like that, like a lot of the time, like when I'm like closing my eyes and I'm falling asleep, like I feel this thing. Anyway, and so then I had in my brain, for some reason that I can't explain at the moment, because I don't understand why people's DNAs are different or whatever, but for some reason my brain was made possible that I could imagine beyond this existence and this reality, and I could dream beyond it. So, and not only that, I allowed my brain to believe that that was what reality is somewhere else, that I didn't have access to it, right? And I know that everybody does this in one way or another through creating their dreams and desires, and through religion and through spirituality. We have this thing, this ability. For me, I feel like I used that ability to imagine the most biggest, to me anyway, the most biggest and wondrous and beautiful existence, yeah? And I lived in that place strongly, right? Oops. So then coming back to this moment, which is the problem, and I think that's the problem. And actually, when he was like a coach, and he said to me that like, you're always jumping from 15 to 0, like that's such a big jump, and of course you're gonna feel rubbish. So I guess that's exactly what I'm still doing, but in a different way. So it's not about my work anymore, and you know what he was talking about. It's about life itself. Like I imagine this like such high potential existence, and there's this high existence that I'm imagining, and I'm having to drop from that imagination every time to this reality. And at first it was quite easy because I believed in that place. And then as like I started to like go, oh, hold on, why can't I access that place? Why is it just in my imagination all the time? I think that's where the problems began to really like surface, in terms of that drop finally caught up with itself, and then that drop just finally just took me like 10 feet under. Going back to Eckhart Tolle and what Oprah was saying, yeah, is that even in this place where I am observing that my thoughts are my thoughts, and actually when I'm not having thoughts, I'm just not having thoughts. And actually, if I wanted to, I could train my brain to maneuver the thoughts in a way that benefits me, right? And actually I was learning to do that a few months back. I know, and I was calling that place the director. And I think I mentioned it in another video, right? But the problem I'm having goes beyond all of these teachings. Again, I don't want to sound rude, but it's like when I'm watching the thought, I am still inside of this body, and inside of this body there isn't access to, you know, what we say life is. there is just observation of everything and stillness and whatever. And for me, that is not accessing this bigger picture that we say is here and is available, because it's still in the imagination. And of course some people would explain that as like, well, it has to be that way because otherwise you can't pull it out and have this experience of brand newness. Otherwise, I won't go into that because obviously those conversations trigger me to get even more frustrated, because I just find it irritating. Not irritating to accept that that's what life is, irritating because I see beyond that. I see different solutions. I don't think that that should be the case. I don't agree that that should be the case, and then I get into that place of 10 feet under. So what my brain is finding in this moment, I want to call it hilarious. In other moments it's self-damaging, because it wants to stop existing. It doesn't want to exist, and it wants to find a way to stop its existence, right? And it does this because it doesn't understand, and actually I'm gonna stop saying it because it's me. I don't understand why I can't access something more than just this body. And observing that I'm having these thoughts, and observing that actually I am this observer and not the thoughts, is still too small for what I imagined myself to be and what I should have access to. And again, this should, a lot of people justify why it shouldn't have access to it, and I have plenty of ideas that disagrees with those viewpoints and has alternate ideas about what existence should be and how it should look like and what the experience should be. Anyway, I can't answer those things at the moment, but I thought I'd just open with that because that's where I am right now. My brain is completely breaking down. My body is, funny enough, still going. I don't know why, but I've got these little tricks, and I don't know why they're tricks, because it's just annoying to call them tricks, but like going to the gym helps me to just, you know, like it's like 10 feet under, and actually I can survive if I stay at 10 feet. So at 10 feet under. So if I go to the gym, it just keeps me at 10 feet under. And if I'm, you know, singing and doing these videos, it keeps me there, and it doesn't, you know, go below that point. And then sometimes when I'm not doing these things and I'm in my room and I start to process what it is that I'm living through, then I start feeling myself sinking below that point. And that's where like my brain agrees that it has to stop existing. It doesn't want to carry on living. But that's where I am right now. And actually I went on a trip because I wanted to stop smoking. I was you know, a smoker, and it wasn't helping my brain. And so then I went away for like 4 days, and I stopped smoking like about 5 days before that. So then, because I know that like on the 5th day is the hardest day, and I accidentally, actually not even on purpose, accidentally it landed on the 5th day. I was actually on my way to this retreat, and then I spent 4 days there, and it was just life-changing. It was life-changing. It was like my brain got the dose of all the things that I used to dose it with before, and then when I came back, I was just like on a high, right? And obviously life, because I have to come back to this reality, just pop those balloons one by one until I was basically 10 feet under once again, right? And I guess just to conclude why that happens, right, is because, again, I'm not being given the answer as to why everything is done through thoughts. Because, like, these spiritual people, they, you know, yes, I can watch my thoughts. Yes, I can exist here watching the thoughts, but I'm still experiencing this body when I'm watching these thoughts, or I'm watching the experience of the body, because, you know, maybe like David Blaine or whatever, like he's able to like detach from the experience, but you're still watching it, you know, you're not escaping it. And I'm seeing that there is the experience, this experience of being a human. You can't escape those things. You have to go through the mind to think, go through the body to feel, because this is this is the human, right? You are being a human, you're born a human, this is it. And my body doesn't want to accept that that's all that I am, and this is all that I have, and then therefore I'm being forced to accept that I am a human. And because I don't have access to more than this, you know, I can have access to the stillness and watching it, but I don't have access to more than that. in this moment, then my brain wants to conclude the only possible logical explanation for that, which is that there is no such thing as anything else. Because if it were, I'd be able to experience it. Furthermore, kindness, which is what I wanted to talk about today, wouldn't allow that to happen. You want to come inside? I do wonder what they experience and why he just stares at me. I'm gonna let him in 1 second. What I'm hoping though, just to round up on this thought process problem that I'm having, what I'm hoping is that for some odd reason, and that reason I really want to understand how it's possible that that came to be, right? But for some odd reason, the collective has influence over how we experience life, and therefore if we're not agreeing that we can't access more than being a human, then I am locked. I know that that can't be right here, because there's some people who, like for example, astral project and stuff, and they were able to access that experience without the collective experiencing that. Yeah, so I know that I'm missing something here, but I don't know what it is that I'm missing or why I don't have access to my soul. And I think it's because I want to go beyond my soul. And so therefore, if for example, if I was to astral project and I was to go into these different dimensions and I was to talk to these angels, my brain will still have a problem with it, because you're still a thought process, you're still an experience, and I want to find something that is bigger than a process, right? And I know I've said this in my, all the time in past videos. Anyway, so it's funny that like I have been observing problems at work, and actually I'm observing that these problems actually show themselves in everywhere, and maybe that's why the earth is having a problem at the moment, right? Is that there's like two states here that I'm in, and I'm assuming that because there's not just two states here, but there's two states that I am paying attention to, yeah? One is anger and one is kindness, right? And the kindness here, I'm very proud of that state, and mostly I always revert to that state, and that's actually my go-to state. If something hasn't happened to trigger the anger, I live in this kindness state. And I'm seeing, yeah, that when the anger is here, we attack and we make the person who has caused us to be angry, we make them the enemy. Being in the anger, I find it very difficult to not see that person as my enemy, even to the point of not even treating them like they're my enemy, but just wanting them to stay away from me, which is also just an enemy, right? To stay away, right? And that anger, I think, is the cause of the problems in the world, because actually in that place, you're very easily able to say, you're going to pay for this, you're going to suffer for this, and actually, the more you do to make me angry, what is that? I just touched something wet on the table and it's just like, what is that? But I'm definitely observing here that anger is destructive, and though it's my only defendant and it's my only thing that I have, and actually if I didn't have it I would be walked all over by people who live in this, and I'm assuming, yeah, that anger has taken over in terms of like, even when you're dormant and you're not being activated, you live in a philosophy of anger. The anger's philosophy has taught the brain how to behave and how to be when you're dormant. And when I'm dormant, not anger, I don't live in those philosophies. I live in the kind philosophy where I want to give and I want to be kind, I want to give and I want to give and give. But I'm observing that, let's say the normal humans, their anger attacks, and then when they're dormant, they're just not kind anyway. So then it's just all this attack. And I've witnessed myself getting angry and wanting to attack back. And then when I do attack back, because my anger is active, I'm attacking, then it causes them to have even more anger, and then they attack back. And then it's just this fight. You're the enemy, I'm your enemy, we're fighting, I'm gonna win, and then they think they're gonna win, and it's just fight. And in that state, I find it difficult to get into my dormant kind place, even though I do when I calm down and I'm like, oh, I really have to do better, I really have to think better. I can't think of those people as my enemy, I can't think of them like that, because they need help and they need education. And here I am treating them and activating their anger even more because of my anger. But I'll tell you what, in the moment of anger, it's very hard when somebody's attacking you to not retaliate in anger. It's very hard. And I heard that Jesus could do this, yeah? And fair enough to Jesus, yeah? Well, I'm assuming that he had some type of truth, experiencing truth that God is real, which I don't, right? Because I think that if I did, like I've been asking to just speak to God, right, then it would be easier in the moment of anger to say, hold on, this isn't right, this isn't real. But because I don't have that place that I'm assuming Jesus had, then there is no grabbing hold of it, because then I don't know what I'm doing, and all I know is that you're attacking me, it's making me angry, I'm gonna defend myself and I'm gonna attack you back. Which makes me understand that everybody does that. Of course everybody does that, right? I don't have nothing real to hold on to, therefore when you attack me I will attack back. And then when I'm dormant, I 100% understand that that's a problem and it needs to change. But I don't have what Jesus might have had in this certainty, because of experiencing it, knowing it, that I am more than just this body. Because if all that I am is this body, then it makes sense that when I'm angry, I express my anger. When I'm not angry, I express my kindness. And I'm in between these two states all the time. And okay, that just, I'm a human, so that therefore that's all that I'm gonna do. And I don't have obviously patience to live that way. I don't want to live that way, because I find it stupid to go from anger to kindness, from anger to kindness. And in between, I have these private moments of mixing my kindness with other things like excitement or euphoria or sexual energy, more excitement, you know, artistic pleasures, you know, singing and dancing. Like I could just mix my kind dormant place with all those things, but I find it so useless without being able to access more than being a human, because therefore what is the, how did I get here, what is the point of all of this, and why am I doing this? And then why do I have to be forced to deal with people who make me angry, and then we start fighting in anger? Like, what's the point of all of that? And there's loads of them. And when you become a driver, if you're a driver, you know this, that 99% of drivers are angry. And for me, I could feel it when their car is approaching. I could feel the anger. If they're kind, I could feel it. If they're angry, I could feel it. And as soon as I feel that anger, then my anger rises and then attacks back. And then therefore, me and that driver suddenly clash, and we are fighting. So yeah, so we're treating each other in anger. We have taught the philosophy of life through anger, and then here we are living in an angry world. And then some people are able to be come away from that and live, because they don't have a lot of activation to activate their anger, then because they avoid it, because they know that that's not healthy, and then they're able to just like live in this like kind dormant place. I've not been able to achieve that, nor do I want to, because I don't want to ignore what's happening here, because I don't understand who's in charge and why has it been made this way, and what the heck am I doing here? Because again, like I said, I'm not happy to just be the observer of my thoughts. I want to be more than just an observer of my thoughts, and I don't have access to that. So therefore, I'm not happy to just run away to the middle of nowhere, live away from all of this activating situations, so then I could be at peace, and then I could just be a human and then die happily ever after. Like, no thank you. I want to understand why I'm alive, and why are all these people alive, and why is anger alive, and why is this all happening? Because if you, for example, all the people that I'm having problems with at work and we're fighting in anger, yeah, if we had met in different circumstances, those people may have been supportive. And that's what I'm finding upsetting about life. Is like, people can have two faces just depending on if they get attacked by you or not, or if their anger is activated by your anger or not. And I find that very sad, that, you know, although this person has been super kind to me or not, what if they saw something else in me? Then would they stop being kind to me? And then I find that sad, because I don't want to be that way to people. Like, if somebody was, you know, exactly, if somebody activates my anger, I don't show them my kindness. Like, that's not nice. I want to be able to show everybody my kindness. And I don't know how to do that, because I'm having this mental health I'm calling it mental health problem here because that's what these professionals around me call it, and that's fine. But I'm having this breakdown in my brain because it's all not worth it. Like, fine, I can fight this anger and I can get rid of it, and then I could be super kind to these people that have been really, really horrible to me just because of my morals and stuff. But I don't find it worth it. Like, it's not worth the fight. Like, this world is so heavy and it makes me feel, plus even if you show them kindness, there's a chance that they will continue to show you anger, and then that suffering that I experience in terms of receiving their anger because of my sensitive body, that I have one, then I'm just suffering anyway. So then I'm living in a world of suffering, you know, or then I'm just running away to the other side of the world where none of this exists, and then I'm just like hiding from the humans. Again, that's still a form of suffering because this sensitive body of mine is just gonna avoid what's really going on in the world. And my logical brain doesn't believe that that's how life should be, and therefore then I just always go back to, I want to leave this place, I don't want to be here. So therefore I don't know how to win at this. You know, one of them places where you just like land and then you're just like, so what are you saying, Nayna? Are you saying that you're doomed? Are you saying that this world is doomed? And actually in my private world, yes, that's exactly where I get to. This is doomed. There's no hope here. This is all crazy. I'm gonna find a way to end my life. So yeah, I had a dream about 2 years ago, and for some reason dreams, and it's another subject on my list, but dreams have always impacted me deeply. And I had this dream, and this dream was saying, it was warning me that I was gonna go through this place, and at the time I didn't really understand it. And actually I just get anxious about these warnings. I hate them. I'm just like, go away. And then this dream said that I'm strong enough to beat this. I'm strong enough to see this through, because this is a problem. It's not the way that life is supposed to be. This is a problem and it needs fixing. And I feel like that dream, yeah, is actually, if I'm honest, my only hope that's left. In some way this will stop and it will resolve itself, and then life will become the way it's supposed to be. And I can't logically understand how and why this is happening, and I just have to carry on. And I think that that's the fight that I want to lose. I want it to stop. I don't want to fight anymore. I'm done fighting. But that dream keeps popping up and saying that I was born for this. I was born to fight this, and I was born to carry on, and I have to carry on, and I can't give up, and I have to carry on. And if it wasn't for that dream, I wouldn't agree that I have to carry on. And actually I don't agree. Most of the time I don't agree, and then when I get to that place where I'm just like, right, okay, that dream pops up in my head and says that I'm strong enough to carry on. So I guess I can finish by saying that I hope to carry on and fix this problem, and hope that I'm different for a reason, and that I'm here saying that heaven belongs here, that peace belongs here, perfection belongs here, and anger needs to resolve itself so it can stop. And then we could just be kind. My brain wants loads of explanations for all of that, because I find it hard to accept that anger's there in the first place, and I'm like, why is it there and there and there? Even though if it wasn't for anger, I'd be bullied. I'd be like all of the rest of the corporate world, where they just get bullied and they get hushed. But because I have so much anger, I don't lay down, and in return I attack. And I guess that all the strong people that have this strong anger, because maybe there's a lot of people that don't have that strong anger, those people are just fighting each other and they're not stopping. And I'm witnessing that in myself, that I'm not gonna stop, I'm gonna fight you. And then that causes more fighting. Anyway, I really pray, and I'll never use that word, but I really pray, meaning I'm really asking that this all just resolves itself, or that I find a bigger hope than a dream, meaning I get to really speak to God. And God, whatever this beautiful massive thing that I envisioned as a 17-year-old in this fairy world that I had going on before it was rudely interrupted, that God shows up somewhere, and then I get to see it and experience it, and then just be like, thank God for that. Thank God this is real. Thank God, because this was really looking real for a moment, and thank God that this world is not real, and I'm really, really hoping for that. Okay. So I'll leave you with a message. If you experience that strong anger, I really hope that we learn to get past that, so we can start treating everybody like they are one with us and not our enemies. And then 2, that the kindness speaks in all people and goes into all people when they're dormant and they're not angry. And then we can have a pretty world, pretty things, pretty feelings. And I hope that that's where we get to. And I know I keep saying hope and stuff, and this is where I am right now. So peace to you. And until next time, I shall see you next time. Bye.